What's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here, and it's the end of 2022. This year has flown by quite a bit. And that means top movie lists once again. Like last year, I'm just gonna run through a list with some thoughts. And that's about it. I'm not going to edit this video at all. I'm just gonna keep on going, mistakes and all. Mostly for the sake of just getting this video out in time, because I've been busy a lot lately, if you haven't noticed. So, let's go through my top 10 worst movies of 2022. I'm going to start with number 10, which was probably the most disappointing movie of the entire year. And that is Halloween Ends. I was looking forward to this one so much. I wasn't completely amazed with Halloween Kills, but at the same time, I was so looking forward to finally seeing the big showdown between Laurie and Michael. Especially with the way Halloween Kills ended. It ended with her about to go on revenge. What do we have here? A 4-year time jump with unlikable characters, out of character characters from the previous movies, and things that just don't make sense, along with a character who amounted to nothing. Yeah. It was the most disappointing movie of 2022, and it deserves to be on this list, kind of. Yes, it deserves to be on this list. Number 9 is a horror movie that wishes it was Smile, called Grim Cutty. How to describe this movie? Basically, a creature makes people stab other people, and he smiles while doing it. And the girl's trying to figure out how to stop this creature, and her dad gets involved, and I don't know. It just didn't work out very well. It sounded cool. The trailer looked cool. Grim Cutty itself was a cool design, but poorly executed. The CGI just didn't work for him. No, thank you. Number 8. It pains me to put another MCU movie on the worst list, like I did last year with Eternals, but Thor: Love and Thunder pissed me off a lot. Now, it's not the worst MCU movie ever made. I mean, that's still Thor: Dark World, but apparently only every other Thor movie is going to be good. Love and Thunder had a lot of potential. It had a lot of good moments. But Thor was a complete moron. And it kind of took me out of the movie for that. And then this super important plot that should have been done with Jane, being it's the first time she's in an MCU movie since Dark World, pretty big significance. They completely fumbled her character. Yeah. Thor: Love and Thunder. Not the worst movie in the MCU, but not a very good one either. I've seen better. But yeah. Moving on. Number 7. This horror movie that was really good for its first 2/3 and then dropped the ball in its last act, called Men. It was suspenseful at first. It had a weirdness to it. And then it went way too weird. It went overboard on the weirdness. And we got this last act that just didn't make sense and was garbage. And the ending sucked. My God, the ending was awful. Okay, moving on to the next one. Number 6. Lightyear. Lightyear was not a bad movie. It was just boring. Nothing extraordinary happened. Like, Strange World was kind of the same way, because Strange World was good, but nothing extraordinary happened. However, Strange World I could kind of get behind. This one, no. It was just a bore fest. What is going on with Pixar? Like, every other movie seems to be a miss these days. When did they become DreamWorks? Well, no, actually DreamWorks is like one good movie for every 10 bad ones. But seriously, what happened to the Pixar quality? Did they just raise the bar so high in the early years that now, our expectations are higher? Were all their movies always this level, but we hyped ourselves up to expect more because of how good we found those initial movies? I don't know. At least it wasn't number 5. Scream 5. Talk about a complete insult to the Scream franchise. They should have just left it at 4. When Wes Craven died, the series should have died with him. This movie spat over the others. There were characters who died needlessly that those deaths could have been avoided. There was no reason for Sydney to be in this movie. She has overstayed her welcome. They need a new main character for the Scream series. There were some good elements in Scream 5. There were some things I enjoyed. I did enjoy when they were like, oh, well, now we have these sequels that are direct sequels to the first one and that stuff, but it failed to recapture what Scream, the first one, did and what Scream 4 managed to do. It failed. Scream 5 was just meh, mediocrity at its finest. Alright, number 4. It is not the worst superhero movie ever made, and yes, I shouldn't phrase it that way. Morbius is not the worst comic book movie ever made. But it wasn't very good. I like it better than the Venom movies. I will take it over Daredevil, Elektra, Catwoman, and Batman Robin, and Blade Trinity, and yeah. Generation X, Nick Fury. I'll take it over all those things. But it was not a good movie. Matt Smith completely hammed it up as if he just didn't give a damn about the movie. He was basically the equivalent to emo Peter in Spider-Man 3. That scene when Peter's like dancing down the street, all cringy. That was Matt Smith's character the entire movie. He was pretty much just that character nonstop. That version of Peter nonstop. And he was awful. Jared Leto tried to give a good performance. The movie was horribly edited. It was just poorly done, as if they had no idea how to make a Morbius movie. But they did get elements of the character right. So it means they did at least pay attention to the comics. That's far more credit they'll get than the people who have been doing the DC movies, like Zack Snyder, who clearly has never read a DC comic in his life. Yes, Morbius sucked. And the only reason you probably won't see Black Adam on this list at all is because I did not bother to watch Black Adam. I have no interest in watching a DC universe that has Ezra Miller as Flash. Okay, number 3. Here's a movie I was looking forward to. Here's a movie that had a lot of controversy going into it. Controversy that would probably have been more interesting than the movie itself. It seemed like it was going to be a horror movie. It ended up being more like, well, how do I put this without spoilers? I guess the first question is, do you guys even care about Don't Worry, Darling? Do you? Because if not, then I don't know why I'm asking you. It's not like I can actually see your responses. But If you don't want to know about Don't Worry Darling, I would say I will do this when I'm done with this little comment. Otherwise, cover your ears, turn off the volume, whatever. I went into Don't Worry Darling expecting a horror movie. What I got was a cyberpunk movie. It was terrible. It was a cyberpunk movie. Note, I already said that. But the world they're in is actually a virtual recreation of a 50s world. It's not the real world. It's a video game, basically a video game. And this girl was put into this world against her will by the guy that loved her. Or claims he loves her. Yeah. Now, in concept, that could have been pretty cool. In reality, it sucked. There was no ending. It made no sense. I didn't do a quickie review for this movie because I just couldn't think of how to do a quickie review without giving the movie away like I just did. So yes, in fact, for those of you who aren't listening, welcome back. But yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do a quickie review because I didn't know how to talk about this movie without spoiling it. It's just not worth it. It's awful. The more I thought about it, I mean, when we finished the movie, I was like, well, that ending kind of sucked, but it wasn't bad. And then I started to pick at it. And like, well, there was that and that. And I was talking about the movie to people. And we all started to be like, well, wait a minute. Do you remember that scene? Oh, yeah. Remember how that scene didn't work because of that scene? And so when you started picking at the movie, it just completely fell apart. And that is why Don't Worry Darling is number 3 on this list. Number 2. I just watched it this past weekend. It looked like it could have been a fun horror movie. Instead, it was horrible. And that was Christmas, Bloody Christmas. The concept of a robot Santa going around killing people sounds cool. But it doesn't sound cool if your cast is partially unlikable, partially just boring, and there was no plot. It was just Robot Santa killing people for the sake of killing people. Every character was in the movie just to die. It was awful. It was an 87 minutes I'll never get back. I want my time back. And the sound mixing. The sound mixing was atrocious. It's like every time something got loud from an explosion, the sound quality would suddenly sound garbled up and character voices got drowned into the sound effects. It makes Christopher Nolan's movies sound professionally done. I mean, which is kind of weird because his movies are technically professionally done, but they're so amateurish with the way the sound mixing is that it doesn't sound like it. This movie was the same way. It sounded like something I could do. I don't know, but the movie was a bore fest. The dialogue was cringy and terrible, and all the characters were there just to die. There were so many characters that had no business being in this movie. It should have just been about Killer Santa stalking this girl and, I mean, basically Terminator. Because that's obviously what they were trying to make. They were trying to make a Christmas Terminator movie and they failed at it. I don't care if it was free, don't waste your time. Which brings us to the worst movie of 2022. I didn't know they could make dinosaurs boring, but then Jurassic World Dominion proved me wrong. And note, I watched the near 3-hour extended cut. Wow. Okay, I know I said I want my 87 minutes back from Christmas, Bloody Christmas, but holy crap. I want my 3 hours back. That was the worst Jurassic Park movie they have ever made. There were so many callbacks to the original film. I wish I was watching the original film instead. How to make your movie about dinosaurs not interesting? Well, have it feature giant frickin' locusts. Because that's what I care about in my dinosaur movie. Giant freaking locusts. Yeah. Think about that for a second. Giant locusts in a movie about dinosaurs. Because I care about the giant locusts. And then we had these random dinosaurs that I don't know if they were made just for the movie, but I've never heard of them before, like the Gigantosaurus. Or maybe was that the dinosaur they discovered a couple years ago? I don't know. I know there was a dinosaur they discovered a couple years ago, but there are a bunch of dinosaurs I've never heard of in this movie. There were too many callbacks to the original, and there were things that didn't make sense. And then we had the characters from the older movies, who they have them dressed like they were in Jurassic Park 1. I'm sorry. No disrespect to these people, but some of you should not be dressing like 20-year-olds when you're like 60. Just saying. Yeah. Just saying. None of the new characters all mattered. None of the old characters really mattered. And the character shields. Oh my god, the character shields on the main characters were infinite. You never felt that they were truly in any danger. And the people that were helping them never really felt like they were in any danger. I don't know. The movie was about cloning, locusts destroying the world, and they brought the guy back from that one scene in the first movie. Hey, we've got Dodson. Hey, we've got Dodson. Dodson here. Oh, see, nobody cares. Nobody still cares about him, and he was the main villain of the movie. And none of it just repeated the same plot lines. Nobody learned anything from the villain perspective. It didn't try to do anything different. Watch the how it should have ended for the movie. That was kind of funny. And that I was kind of like, yep, that's how it should have really ended. Dinosaurs teaming up. Okay, sure. Whatever. That is my list for the top 10 worst movies of 2022. What is your list? Let me know in the comments. Click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support me. You can support me on Patreon at Kaiju no Kami, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord at Kaiju no Kami, my website creativitybydesignllc.com, and then my website also has a merch section, creativitybydesignllc.com/shop, or there's a link in the description below. What do you think of my list? Well, I think I already asked that, but whatever. Until next time, look forward to my best movies list. Bye.